There we go. Okay, so thanks everybody for joining us for day 3 of You in Charge of Your Life, #4Power. And today we're going to be looking at the third way that we give away our power, and we're calling that protection. Okay, so to review, I really want this space to be a place where everybody can have their own experience with the material and with their own storyline and with their own healing journey, not just a dissemination of information. So ask questions, take notes, do whatever you need to do to really get in touch with this. And whatever comes up for you, this is a safe place, this is a safe space for you to be able to have any kind of emotion or process that occurs, because your psyche and your own higher self knows how you heal and knows what needs to be healed and what emotions and what thought processes need to happen for you to do that. So just remember that anything that comes up is good, and we are going to love it. We are going to accept it and embrace it, and draw that part closer to ourselves, to our heart, and give it love. It's not rejected or shunned or bad or inappropriate. Okay, so all of the emotions, and there could be a lot, could be more than one that come up, will be a safe place for that whole spectrum to emerge. And I do not specifically hold any outcome for any of us here except for that you become more empowered. And I vehemently believe that you determine and you define what that is for you and what that looks like in your life. I do not have any particular belief or system that I'm pushing or advocating other than you get in touch with what is true for you, and you live that out with skill and love and purpose and strength in the way that you want to, okay? And I also want to do a screen share so we can talk about our journal page that I will be referencing. So tonight, for anybody that doesn't have this yet, what I did was designed a small sheet, and this is actually going to act as a roadmap for where you have been the last couple of days with us, and then also a guide to the future. If you want to continue on in this healing work, this is going to help guide and inform you from these, places where you want healing, or places where you want more empowerment, places where you want to show up differently for yourself. They're going to help guide you and inform your future growth should you want to do that. So over here on the left, we have where am I giving away my power? And you can list as many as you want. What areas of your life do you want to change? If you are in the group, You in Charge on Facebook, then you can go to the post 2.1, and you will have already entered, many people have already entered information where they like to see their life change in certain ways or on certain topics. And you can pull that data and enter it here, and you can add as you want, okay? Don't feel the need for it to be huge. 1 or 2 is fine. But if you have a page or 2, that's also fine. And then the first night, we talked about who am I waiting on to give me permission? So we filled in that column. And yesterday, we talked about who am I allowing to define my purpose? So that was yesterday. So we filled in that column yesterday. And then who am I depending on for my protection? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, Zoom class on August 3rd. So if you have a sheet, you can print them out, landscape, or you can just use this as a way to copy into like a notebook if you have one. And so again, if you are feeling like you really have a lot of material coming up for you, I encourage you to use this and use it when we're not in class as well to refer back to, so on and so forth, okay? All right. So tonight is our third night, and it's on protection. And I'm going to go back and just do a little bit of groundwork again and define power and define energy, because I talk a lot about power and energy being very closely related. Energy is like time, attention, finances, emotional investment, anything where we're putting our literal energy, mental, physical, otherwise, putting our energy into something and expending that, right? And then power is the ability to create change in our own life in the way that we direct, okay? So instead of being powerless and just helpless and a victim and watching things happen to you and being acted upon, A powerful person is somebody who is proactive, who takes action, who knows the action that they want, and most of the time can reliably create the outcome that they want too. It should be like consistent, right? If I do X, I know that I can produce this for myself. Some of that comes with skill. You're not good at everything the first time you try, and being a powerful person is a skill. It is a learned behavior. So it will take some time and it will take some learning. Doesn't mean that you're bad at it or you're not doing it right. It just means that you're practicing. And no matter, it's a practice, like yoga is a practice. No matter how long you practice, there will always be more to do no matter how good you get. So it's not about like, I'm not there yet. It's just a continual practice of bringing forth what's inside of you out into the world, okay? So when I'm talking about protection, this is the permission that we give ourselves to protect ourselves and to protect our energy, okay? A lot of times, and I talk about being a victim a lot, is we allow our energy to be taken from us. Again, we talked yesterday about like willingly giving it over to people a little bit more, where we're misinvesting it. Instead of investing it in ourselves, we're investing it in other people and other projects that aren't really our truth. This is more about people who are more coming in like a perpetrator way or like a victimization way, where they're intentionally trying to take it from us without our consent, or without like trying to negotiate and manipulate or con us into it. And this is a little bit of a switch, because this one has a little bit more of like conflict context to it, where if you're giving yourself purpose, permission or purpose, that's kind of just like an empowering stance. It's almost like a belief system to an extent. It's like you're buying in on an idea. Protection is when you start to really take action, and like an offensive action, to like block and say, no, this isn't going to happen. And again, I put these in the order that seemed intuitive to me, because you have to lay the stage with the permission to get to where you can have your own purpose. And then when those are in place, then you can start taking action on them, because this is kind of the deeper end. Like if you're going to start acting out intentionally and protecting yourself and like stopping people from doing something to you, you have to be able to withstand the fact that they're not giving you the permission to do that. They're disagreeing with you about your purpose, right? They believe your purpose is to invest in them, to be a victim, and you believe your purpose is about you. So now this is about like starting to have some conflict in the world, and that's a good thing, because it means that we're doing the work right. You know, it's one of these weird paradoxes where being true to ourselves makes us a more peaceful person, because we're more aligned, we're more powerful. We don't have to grab power or like respect or validation from other people. At the same time, we become much stronger in our own energy field and our own sense of our own self and our own identity. And when people try to do that to us, now we actively resist and we say, no, that is not going to happen. Stop. I do not allow this. And I will fight against it. Like I will stop this. And there's a lot of power. Like the way that I envisioned this was like this slow drain, right? And I've talked a little bit about my most recent marriage, where there was a lot of slow drains, and I wasn't protecting my energy. I wasn't safeguarding it. I wasn't holding it in reserve. And of course, if I don't even have it, I can't invest it in myself like I need to be. I obviously haven't given myself permission to have my own well-being forefront in my mind. I haven't given myself permission to take care of myself. And so I hadn't laid that groundwork. And because of those things, it was just like this slow leak, you know, like, cause I'm always worried about winterizing the house. And so the power company says, if you have that little slip under the door, it's the same as having a baseball size hole in your wall, right? Have you guys seen this from like the power companies and the heating companies? That's what it's like. It's this little drain, but over time it massively deflates you, and you become very, God, where's my vocabulary? It's the word I used yesterday all the time, Michelle. What was it? You're just completely like depleted. You're depleted. And it's this little, and so like sometimes you think, well, like I'm just bringing him diapers for the kids. Like, is that really a big deal? Like, and that was my logic. Well, it's not really a big deal. I can afford it. It's extra. Like, it's not a big deal. It's this little, it's only 3 or 4 diapers. It's only this or that. Well, over time, and it's never just that, right? Like that's the denial that I was in. It's never just the couple of diapers. Then it's a little bit of food. Then it's like phone bill here and there. And then it's extra time. And then it's, you know, like it grows and it doesn't just stay this little drain. And then once you're giving your power away there, what we tend to do is be disempowered in our whole life. And so there's drains coming from all of these different fronts, right? And we're not protecting our energy on any of them. And so, yeah, one set of diapers one time at pickup is not a big deal, but when I'm doing it at work and then talking to my girlfriend and then doing it with my ex, and then suddenly, again, the depletion is just baseline. I'm just completely dry. So this is where we start to set those active limits and say no. First, oh, sorry, I need a podium here. So first to say to ourselves, no, I'm not going to allow this anymore. And then we reach, first, it always has to happen inside, right? Always inside, we have to say to ourselves first, no. And then we have to say outside of ourselves, to you, no more. You know, no more diapers, no more phone bill, no more draining me with your emotional crises, with your issues, no more extra time with my boss and this like crappy overtime that I'm not getting paid for or whatever. And so you become the protector of your source of your own power. And the assumption that we have with this one is that you are entitled to your own energy. You are entitled to your own energy. Others are not. Others are not entitled to it. Now, we choose to share, of course, especially if you're a parent or you have a very demanding job that you love or whatever, but you are entitled to your own energy. And that goes, again, back to the permission. You know, you can hear that purpose in there, you know, about being central to your own story. And we assume that I'm entitled to my own energy. Other people are not entitled to it. I choose to share where, again, it aligns with my purpose. If it aligns with my purpose, I choose to invest it here, but that person's not entitled to it. Just looking over my notes. So the other thing is that we use our power to protect ourselves. So there's a switch, right? So like if I'm allowing my power to be drained, it's flowing away from me like a river. But if I start reserving that power and cycling it back to myself, then it comes back to me, right? We had a picture yesterday of a donut because the energy field. Yes, baby. Yes, very quickly. Say hi to everybody. You gonna go swimming with Aunt Mandy? Yeah. Okay. She's gonna take care of you. It's gonna be okay. I love you. We're going swimming. They love to go swimming. So the picture yesterday was like this circle, like a donut, and you're at the middle of the donut, and your own energy comes back to you because you're choosing to reinvest it in yourself so that you can pour from a full cup. You're putting your energy into yourself so you can pour from a full cup. And the protection comes in when we take this straight line where it's flowing away from us, our energy is flowing away, and then we redirect it back to ourselves. And where we actually take that action to not just say, as a matter of principle, that I deserve to be in my own purpose, but now I'm actively going to engage my energy back into myself. Okay, no, I need you to go. Come here. Put this away. Oh, it's the dirty clothes. Come right there in the dirty clothes. Come here. He woke up from his nap, so he's kind of like discombobulated. I need to put it in the dirty clothes. I'm like, the dirty clothes is out there. Okay. What were we talking about? Now I'm all thinking about swimming.
Reinvesting in yourself.
Thank you. So the purpose is about having like a theoretical belief system, right? That I deserve to be central to my own story and have my own energy. And then the protection part is where you actually start to change the energy flow back towards yourself. And you identify, again, like this is why it's so important to identify where you're losing power at in this box, because you're going to have actual dollars that you're putting somewhere and you got to put them back into you, right? You're going to have actual hours and minutes of time that you're putting somewhere else that should be coming back and funneling into you. You're going to have attention and energy that's flowing away from you that you're going to want to redivert back into your own self, right? That this is going to be concrete. This is not a theoretical frontal cortex kind of an action step. This one's where we're really taking that and saying, where am I losing my investment on myself? I need to funnel that back to myself. You guys understand that? It's a super huge point for this. And what else? And that's where we really begin to, I had the word precious put on this step, because when we really understand how precious our energy is, we really begin to treat it differently, because other people are going to make a claim on our energy resources, right? And if we allow it to be just taken or whatever, we're really devaluing that, right? We're devaluing our own energy, our own resources. And this is where we really step in to defend something that's precious to us. It's our treasure. In this world, it's fairly finite to a certain degree. At some point, I will die. My minutes and my hours on this earth are finite. I've got a lot of them, I'm hoping, but they will end at some point, and I have to choose where I spend them. And so they're precious to me. And so I need to be really intentional about where I choose to put them, if I'm going to allow them to be claimed by other people that aren't really entitled to them, or if I'm going to funnel them back to myself so that I can feed myself, and then I can also feed my purpose about how I walk out my life and live my life. What's important to me, what really is my passion and fires me up and energizes me. I was going to say something else about that. So yeah, go ahead. Were you going to say something? Yeah. I'm getting better. I'm super fast tonight. Yeah. So that would be something for the journal, is, you know, in each of those boxes to identify, you know, let's say boundaries. I want better boundaries as one of those issues. You know, you're going to look at boundaries around what? Is it boundaries around finances, my time and attention, my physical energy? Am I working and doing too much for somebody, or maybe my employer? Maybe I have a girlfriend who's just draining my energy with all of her, you know, crisis-laden life that she desperately needs me for. There will be something very concrete. And again, that's kind of a shift from what we have talked about before, because the rest of them are kind of just foundational, again, frontal cortex, belief system type things, where, you know, I assert that I give myself permission to be powerful and live the life I want. You know, I assert that I live my life on purpose, and that I, you know, should be central to my own story, and that I should pour from a full cup, not an empty cup. You know, these are kind of just thought processes or belief systems. This one's going to be much more action driven, where you're going to have, again, concrete things that are happening that can be changed, that other people can even see. And I want to talk about feelings and about anger. Anger coming up during this process is such a good sign, because the work of anger, and even rage, I mean, there is just white hot rage, long-standing rage that occurs in these processes, because anger is the fuel that actually is a source of power for you, that gives you the emotional energy to do the boundary work necessary to erect the powerful persona again. So that was a really wordy way to say it. Anger energizes your emotional ability to be a powerful person, okay? Because there's been boundaries that have been decimated. Either you haven't protected them, or other people have treated them very aggressively. And anger is the element that allows us to have that emotional power to put them back up, right? And you will have anger in the same proportion to the amount of boundary work that you need to do. So if I'm a little irritated, I had a little boundary violation. Somebody stepped on my boundary a little bit. If I'm super mad, I had a pretty sizable boundary violation from somebody intruding into my boundaries. If I have rage, long-standing rage that I am just continually just enraged, just no other word for it, I've been living with this for a really long time. And it's healthy. One of the things that I super disagree with is, again, especially religions, harshing on anger. Like, don't harsh on anger. It's an important part of your psyche. We have it for a reason. And there's I think, therapies, are pretty cool with it. I will say that I have had therapists tell me that I needed to forgive somebody, and I fired them. I walked out and my neighbor came back, and I was like, no, what are you talking about right now? There's no, forgiveness is a spiritual concept. I'm talking about emotional work, you know? It's really important. So if you're, and that's one way that you can tell that you are giving away your power, is if you're feeling angry. And again, it'll be proportionate to how much that you've allowed to be taken from you. As you become more powerful, the anger goes down because you don't need it anymore. All of our emotions serve a very specific emotional purpose. And when they're heard, and again, when we include them and embrace them and hold space for our emotions, we can learn from them. And as we learn from them, we change our behavior, we change how we treat ourselves, we change how we interact with other people, and then the need for that emotion goes away, right? And our natural state is joy, serenity, happiness, excitement, energy, right? It should not be anger, anxiety, depression, lethargy, fatigue. Like, that's not the normal way that we're supposed to function. And so if you're having an emotional response, it's indicating to you what you need to change and how. So this anger is a really great part of it. Also anxiety. One of the ways that, one of the purposes of the notebook is, again, for you guys to be able to be specific with like what's going wrong, because anxiety is one of these things that it really hypes you up. Your nervous system gets hyped up, but it also really numbs your mind. And so you're not able to say what's the matter. You just feel emotionally jittery and you just feel kind of foggy because you're not clear about what's the matter. You just have this feeling that something's going to happen. And so the more concrete you can make it and get your notebook and write down concrete things, you will take that nervous, jittery energy. Again, that's there for a purpose. It's there to address something, but you have to consciously be directing your mind and your attention to something, to like a problem to solve. And then that nervous, jittery energy, you can like go attack the problem and you can solve it. So it's like that chihuahua that is like, and then when he has something to bark at, it's like, so our anxiety, again, is a signal that we can learn from. And when we learn how to interpret these emotions that are very powerful, very important and vital, and when we can start learning from them, we can start to use them as healing agents instead of just like they get us down and they attack us and I'm constantly feeling depressed and anxiety ridden and frustrated and helpless. You know, then I'm just at the victim of my emotions rather than letting them empower me. So even our relationship with our own emotional system will go through changes as we do this work and as we learn to relate to our emotions in different ways. That's not saying that you shouldn't take medication for anything. You take what you take. You need what you need. I do not have any investment. And in my personal experience, I have been on medication. It does not inhibit your ability to do any of those things. When you're so spun out and it becomes like a chemical problem, you need help to get it back under control. So I'm not saying that you don't, like, I just have to do my disclaimer because people take anything and I'm like, no, no, no. I just don't want anybody to ever think that I'm harshing on them or saying not to do it. I come from, again, the 12-step paradigm where they actually will. Like if you're in NA, they'll say like, oh, you need to check with your sponsor if you take, you know, antidepressants or something. So there are some, I have had personal experience of different people who will tell you that, and I'm not telling you that, okay? What I am saying is just in the way that you think about your emotions as they come up, if, you know, when we learn to learn from them. There's a really wonderful book by Carla McLaren called The Language of Emotions. I never get very far in any talk without talking about this book because it was life-changing for me. And it changed my relationship with my emotions so much that I was able to unhook from, you know, using the mood altering substances. And instead of like running from my emotions, I was able to engage with them and go walk through the door of my emotions into what needed to happen, versus just being like chased and terrorized by my emotions as I was for a very, very long time. So I'll throw that out there. And if anybody wants the link, I'll like add that. It's on Amazon and stuff. It's an excellent book. So anyways, yeah. So I'm going to breathe. Any feedback, any questions, any processing for you ladies? Everybody's good? I think I'm done. I got it all out quick. fast and dirty today, so. Okay. I'll just give it 1 minute.
Good talk.
Good talk?
Good talk.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. If you like today, listen to day 2, because it was day 1, but yeah, thank you. I'm glad you liked it. And again, we'll be doing, tomorrow is going to be on provision. Same, more of the same. Hey, Shani.
Oh, I was going to tell you too, just for future reference, it's Shanna Lee.
Shanna Lee. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I struggle with that so hard. I'll get that. I'll get that. Cool.
I just figured I'd pronounce it for you.
Thank you.
I did the same thing when I first saw her name too.
That's good. Okay, well, I'm going to turn the recording on.